with the Vikings taking on the Steelers here in Dublin, Ireland. Now, they aren't playing at the same stadium that the college game was played at earlier this season, but yeah, you might expect the same type of uh, turf. NFL is going in there and trying to do a better job, make sure we get a good turf, but that doesn't mean the game's going to be any less uh, uh, high powered, I guess, here with the Vikings and the Steelers. Look, so far, Vikings have been in a good spot, I guess. I think you got to feel pretty good if you're the Vikings right now at 2-1. You got to feel pretty good if you're the Steelers right now at 2-1 with Rodgers at quarterback right now. Of course, the Vikings have had to turn things around here a little bit with their offense coming into recently with that change to have Carson Wentz in there with McCarthy out right now. So, look, I think it's a good move for the Vikings actually to have Carson Wentz in there. Yeah, maybe McCarthy is their man of the future, but I think right now with what the Vikings have to offer, I think you should be probably looking at Carson Wentz as your quarterback here. You know, unless he just goes into the tank a little bit. Let's see how he performs. You got a Pittsburgh team over here. Look, 2-1. That's a pretty good deal. I think there were some question marks regarding the Steelers a little bit coming in. They uh, have scored 34 and 21 points in their wins so far this season, just 17 in their loss. The running game isn't really getting anything done right now for Pittsburgh. They're averaging not even 3 yards a carry, but you know what? The rushing averages are kind of down right now in the NFL. I believe we're looking at a lot of teams with under 3.5 yards per carry so far. Now, Pittsburgh has been very opportunistic so far. They're +5 in the turnover department thus far. Now, Pittsburgh 10-6 against the spread. Their last 16 non-conference games. Remember, the Steelers. This is where they thrive in these closely rated games. Now, it could be a reflection of their division play, but still 26-14 in the last 40 with a spread of 3 points or fewer for Pittsburgh. They're also 16-10 in the last 26 against the spread, coming off of a win for the Vikings here. Lost to Atlanta 22-6, but they did have a couple of good offensive performances, including a 48-point barrage against the Bengals, who were playing with their backup quarterback as well, but it was 48-10. Remember, the Vikings had the hammer out there for O'Connell here with the Vikings. They are 8-3 in their last 11 in the same scenario that I talked about with the Steelers. So maybe you can neutralize that there. Vikings 8-3 against the spread in games of 3 points or less. They're also 14-6 in their last 20 against the spread, coming off of a win, and they're 10-3 against the spread against AFC competition. Coming in. So these teams have split the last 4 games, but being a non-conference game, I think that kind of might not be as relative here. Minnesota's won 11 of their last 14, dating back to last season. They're also 6-3 ATS in their last 9 games overall. Pittsburgh just 2-6 against the spread in their last 8 games. You could say it's a new start, though, with Rodgers, whether or not he's going to be super productive or just able to get it done. Like I said, I thought that, pardon me, I thought that this is the right kind of situation for Aaron Rodgers right now. But again, I think the Vikings with Carson Wentz, it's a big, I don't want to say upgrade from J.J. McCarthy, because Wentz, certainly has to be regarded as a journeyman here as he's on his 5th team, but kind of one of those guys who bided their time a little bit and waited for these right opportunities. Has always been effective, it seems like, when he gets in there a lot of times. Pittsburgh has still dropped 6 of their last 8, dating back to last season. They've also gone under in 6 of their last 9, and 7 of the last 10 meetings between these two teams have gone under, but I'm not too worried about that And in this one, I'm going to take the under at 40.5 here. Let me make sure I got this line right on screen here on Night Moves. I think we can call it 41 right now. I would say that many books have this 2.5 on the Vikings here, currently juiced. I think that's for sure. So for me, I'm going to go under here at 41 with the Vikings and the Steelers over in Dublin, Ireland tomorrow. In this one, okay. I want to hear from you guys in the chat. So far, I've just got Mr. Wesker's in here. And he says Rogers can look to maybe some revenge against the Vikings. So I want to hear from you guys in the chat. I've got a couple dozen of you here riding with me right now on Night Moves, and I like to feature the plays of the chat. So if you want to put your plays in the chat, you can do so. I feature them on the screen. And hey, I even react maybe to your plays, questions, comments here on Night Moves. All right, I think that's a decent enough look here at that game. It is a nice touch here. It'll be, remember, 9:30 Eastern, 6:30 a.m. Pacific in this one for Minnesota and Pittsburgh tomorrow. Look, so far Pittsburgh's pass defense, not so much, right? I think that we're not expecting Pittsburgh to be the steel curtain necessarily, or even get to these guys. And I think with Jefferson, Addison, Naylor, I don't think they'll have a huge game, but maybe a better position than Rodgers and his crew is in right now. DK has looked great, no doubt about it, for the Steelers so far. But beyond that, I do have some concerns, even at tight end, Minnesota with Hawkinson, and do need to see a little bit more right now from Fryermuth and the Steelers here. Now, the Steelers can get that running game going, but Jalen Warren has carried an injury tag most of the week with questionable designation, but I do expect Jalen Warren to be in there. He's been pretty good this season. He had a great game, of course, against Seattle, and that was the game they actually lost. But a couple of 2-1 teams here. I'm going to go under with Minnesota and Pittsburgh.